Welcome to Blue Tinted Glasses, the home of Leicester City talk on YouTube. Fan debates, live watch-alongs, post-match reactions, and all the Foxes banter you could ask for. Subscribe now and see the game through Blue Tinted Glasses.
Just into race clear. He's got Jamie Vardy with him. Jamie Vardy sets off. Jamie Vardy! Pull back here for Darwin. Oh, he scored! An absolute belter! That is trademark Abdul Fattahwood.
This one into the box. Nugent over the top. Oh, what a goal! David Nugent's just scored a beauty. He's made Forest look like fools.
Premier League champions 2016. The amazing Leicester City.
Hi, I'm Luke. Welcome back to Blue Tinted Glasses. How are we all today? We're joined today by Kate, Graham, good sir, good to finally meet you, and Mr. Willoughby. How are we all today?
Good, thanks.
Not too bad, thank you.
Graham, how are you, mate? Good to meet you.
You
think you're on mute.
Yeah. All right. Old age, Mike's muted. So Luke, you're giving up watching the big sporting event in Oz today.
What's that?
Melbourne Storm, Brisbane Broncos. Got any skin in the game for that one? Rugby league?
No, I'm not a rugby guy, to be honest with you. It's a bit of a... My dad calls it a bum sniffer's sport. I know that the Unions is big in Leicester. I know the Tigers are popular, but yeah, it's... In Australia, everyone over East in Queensland and Sydney is huge on rugby. Everyone else is Aussie rules. And then football or comes third. But anyways, guys, so how are we all feeling? Go on.
Next question, follow-up question, Your Honour. So... there is a link between Syston and your Perth AFL team or Aussie Rules team. There's a guy called joint captain called Oscar Allen.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm going out with I was going out with his steps. It would be his auntie. So. He's very good. He wants away. He wants to go to Brisbane, but he's not doing too badly. I mean, that's netball for me, Aussie rules football. Although, given the injuries they get, they won't be able to walk by the time they're 40.
No, Oscar Allen's leaving us high and dry. Yeah, well, Eagles was my team before I fully switched governments and embraced my Leicester roots. But yeah, Oscar Allen's leaving us high and dry to go to Brisbane. Our captain. Anyways, that's another story. Kate,
show me the money, honey. That's what it was. Show me the money.
You know what? It's a conversation for another time, but I wish that it would never ever happen. But I wish that everyone in the UK or just football system in general actually adopted the salary cap that we have on the Aussie rules. But I don't want to go down that rabbit hole just now. Kate, you were at the game yesterday. Tell me how the away fan energy was. It sounded good on screen. Why don't you tell me about your experience going away and if you were happy with the result?
Yeah, the away end was pretty good. It obviously had some tense moments, so there was some quieter periods, particularly with the penalty and the equaliser and just some of the slow play that can kill some of the atmosphere at times. But the bookend ends of the game were really loud, and obviously when we started to gain confidence going 2-1 and then 3-1 up, and the football started to be, I think, what Marti's football should be, like one touch, fast-paced, front-footed, then the crowd were just absolutely loving it. So, it was a good away end, and I think everybody left happy, really.
Awesome. And I'll come to you first, this Michael, and then I'll come to you, Graham. What did you guys think to the starting 11? Were you happy with it? Did you think it was a little negative? What were your thoughts going into this game, like this starting 11?
Yeah, no, but by and large, I was quite happy with the starting 11. Most probably as I expected it to be. I might have assumed maybe that Ayew would have dropped back in for Daka, but I think he likes the back four. Whether we agree with it or not, he certainly sees Faes and Vestergaard, the experience that they offer in the league, as a positive. And I think we're starting to see the two centre mids, particularly Winks and just Winks and James, build a bit of chemistry. It was one of a problem area for the Leicester going into the season, was who was going to be that midfield two. At a point in time, we thought it was going to be Skip and Winks, but yeah, James seems to have cemented himself there, and I'll touch on him later. I think he's a proper player, and we're going to rely on him heavily this season.
Oh, definitely. What do you reckon then, Graham? We'll almost touch him on a little bit now. You want to show this man the money or what? Have you fell in love with this lone player already, or are you just a bit steady Eddie for now?
No. He's the real deal. Say he reminds me a bit of Neil Lennon, but can score. So he has the physicality. He it's box to box actually. So he's nothing like Neil Lennon. Okay, but anyway, he's this guy's good. I like the setup. I don't have a problem with it. I think that Faes and Vestergaard get in mainly because I think he's worked out that really, apart from Coventry, there aren't many good teams that can score. And if you get it right, you use your fullbacks and you allow both Faes and Vestergaard to place long balls in different directions. Second thing I enjoyed today, and you're not going to like this at all, I thought Daka added another dimension in the fact that there was the up and over ball being able to play, which meant that Monga and Fatua weren't being trebled up as they've been. They've got other people sorting them out, and then that brings in the man that failed yesterday, unfortunately, Daka over Reed, and allows James to get in. So it's the idea of in any competition is give the opposition more things to worry about.
So do you think it was I'll quickly come to you, Graham, before I go to UK. Do you think here's a comment here from Tony Smith, still got problems in the striking department? Daka just heads towards 12 months without a league goal. I can see what you're saying, Graham, because he has got that pace, and you did say they were trying to deliver a long ball over the top for Daka to run onto. He has got a lot more pace than I. But a few times the keeper beat him. In my opinion, he was still unfortunately honking. Were you surprised to see him start? Do you see him getting another start after the international break? Can we just give up on this guy already?
Oh, I'm going to push you, but you're doing very well. No, I think that it's again, you don't see what people do. In that performance yesterday, he managed to persuade a defender and he managed to get the ball off the goalkeeper when the goalkeeper was messing around. He pressed. He harried. If you changed a few things and put the name Vardy in there, you'd have said Vardy had a good game yesterday because he was doing all the things he did, but without getting the service. And the one chance that he got to, and I'm see if I can drag this out of you, is the worldie shot from Fatua, who woke up first, who made it from the centre circle to the goal, who fought off a challenge from a defender, knew the ball wasn't dropping, and still managed to get it on target. That was not shabby, was it?
Yeah, I would say that I would imagine Ayew wouldn't have gotten to the ball in time. So that's something you can give for Daka, is getting in behind. We just do lack a real natural finisher, and have done, and we knew this was going to be the case. Have any of you lot managed to gather any thoughts on, is his name Carranza or Carranza?
He's shit.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was a bit too early to write him off because he played 60 minutes of football possibly at a push.
I'm sorry, I'm being facetious, but
yeah. No, I was just wondering if you guys had any thoughts on him. Is it time to give him a little run out?
Kate messaged me privately and said that he's a dodgy looking pirate. No, I'm just kidding. Kate, what do you think? Is it too early for the pitchforks or what?
Absolute lies. He's absolutely beautiful.
That's
number one and the most important thing about this guy. No, I agree with Michael, though. He's not had much football time yet. I think he looks really physical compared to Daka. If Daka had his strength, then that might be a completely different player. But yeah, Carranza's a big guy. He's probably 6'2". I'd like to see him given a full game, to be honest. But I think Daka's probably just above him at the minute, because I thought he did really well against Wrexham. And I thought he did okay yesterday. The defender was attached to him yesterday, literally followed him around. So he didn't kind of get the runs that I would have liked to see. And I don't know whether that defender was pretty quick, but you didn't see Daka's kind of 3, 4, 5 yard bursts of pace because that defender was always on him. So Marti say we need to give Carranza time, but at the same time he's only on loan, so we haven't got that much time. But also you want to see a lot of him to see if you really want to buy him at the end of the season, because we know what Daka's about, and I think everyone's willing Daka to score, aren't they? Because I'd love nothing more than for him to score. Like, it could actually open a floodgate or two. And maybe the same with Carranza. And Carranza had the best chance yesterday, didn't he? Out of the two of them, he could have really buried that chance yesterday, and it's just one of them. But at least he got there, and it just feels a bit forced at the minute at the top.
I do think, I was going to say, I think whatever striker comes in is going to struggle for chances just by the way that Leicester sort of build up. We put a lot of emphasis on our wingers. We make sure our wingers need to have the games of their lives effectively, because everything gets pushed out to them, both Monga and Fatawu. They're being asked to do multiple tricks and skills to fend off 2 or 3 players. And I don't see either of them want to put the ball into the box very much. I think they more want to go and try and get the goals themselves. To finish on that, I think whatever striker is going to struggle to score goals in this setup currently, it's early days still.
Can I put this out there that again, under Vardy, when we had obviously he was a 20-goal season striker, but then other players chipped in. I think the managers worked out that we aren't going to have a 20-goal a season striker at the moment, not this season, and not until we spend some big bucks. So, like yesterday, let's get goals from everywhere. If we score 3 goals a game, it doesn't matter if Daka's sitting on the deck chair in the centre circle drinking pina coladas. But I know we want the, I was brought up in Frank Worthington but football has changed. The fact that we scored 2 goals from outside the box as well yesterday. We always say, you can't score from outside. I know it wasn't far outside the box. And, we got a headed goal from Vestergaard, which is like rocking horse shit.
Yeah, I want to push back on that point a little bit, if I'm honest with you, to say, let's just spread the goals out equally. Obviously, that's a fantastic idea. But it wasn't what we did yesterday wasn't very repeatable in other matches. Do you know what I mean? James's goal was a stunner into the top corner. Fatawu, I know he has got a knack for doing this. We've seen him do it a fair few times, but again, it's a goal from outside the box. And their goal was just a deflection late in the game that ended up on our centre back. These aren't repeatable plays. Unlike when we had Maresca, I'd use him as the example, we were just cutting teams open and creating chances for fun. I found back in the day.
But I will add
one thing to that. Sorry, is the number 10 position is most probably where we're lacking the bit of spark and creativity. So far, we've had Bobby De Cordova-Reid, James, Page, and I don't know if we chucked anyone else there right at the start of the season, and the Ramsey as well. Sorry, the only one who's actually looked like a natural in that position so far is Page. I understand he's very young. And I think just that link up from Winks and James to the number 10 would help us create more chances. We are forced out wide because that role is just, and we haven't got a player there yet.
I see what you're saying, right? Particularly when you talk about the build-up play. I think that if you watch that game, I think that Ramsey was definitely growing into that role towards the end of the game. And I think what's interesting is that now that we've got either Ramsey or Donkey over Reid to play in that 10 position, we don't have to see Ayew, who has been pretty much doing all the link-up play, dropping really deep. If we've got Daka up top and you've got Ramsey or someone else in front of him to receive the ball, I would hope that you get a lot more things to gel in the build-up. I think that going forward, I want to see Ramsey start in that 10 position. He, in my opinion, toward that last 10 minutes of that match, was the best at that number 10 role. I do also see what you're saying as well. There's some comments here mentioning about Daka, and he's just simply not good enough. You can't go 10 months without league goal and class as anything other than not good enough. I see what Graham was saying earlier, but in my opinion, everything that you guys just praised Daka for just sounds like we're giving him a fucking participation medal. Oh, he ran around a lot. He made his defied defense. What did he do of actual substance? Be honest with yourselves. Nothing. So, and Carranza,
I think you're wrong there. Let's not. Come on. You saw him take the ball off the keeper. You saw him head the ball on the line. You saw him run. He's not running around just for the sheer fucking heck of it. He's doing a job that the manager's asked. Tell me one cross that came into the box or one ball where he had a scoring opportunity.
Loads. He had that header that went straight at the bar, the keeper. That could have been better. Last week he had
the goalkeeper
multiple tap-ins that he didn't make it in time.
The goalkeeper saved it.
Are we going to praise
Oh,
him
what?
for another chance? He's got a
Come
nearly
on,
near
I'm
that
sorry.
scoring.
I'm really sorry. Have you watched much football? He did really well to get there. He was stretching up on the thing. I don't really care. He's not a brilliant player, but he's the best we've got. And just to diss him because he doesn't score 4 goals a game and just say, well, he just had a participation. It's a bollocks. It's a team. Everybody's out there doing the best they can.
1 goal in
He's been
4
part
games
of
would
this
be
team.
nicer, wouldn't it?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
but give
Or
him
maybe one goal
give him
a
more.
year. You're
Give
giving
him
him praise for
give him
being a
more
nearly.
chances. Give him more
That's it,
chances.
yeah.
It's not.
It's not that simple, though, is it?
Nobody is more disappointed at his lack of scoring ability than me. But I watched the game yesterday because I knew we were going to have this conversation today, and I specifically looked at the bloke and thought, "Well, you done bad today." Now, does anybody else think he
Do you
didn't
think that
bad
performance was
yesterday?
any better than what Ayew had put up this season? Because I mean, I might be the anomaly here, but I think Ayew has done all of those things in that position. He hasn't scored
I
any goals, but he's definitely put himself about and he links up play quite nicely.
I agree. What
Tell
do
you
you think,
what,
Kate?
Ayew would be first on my team sheet every week. But the manager decided that I need to do something to get both the wingers to be able to do a bit more without having 3 people on it. So if they've got, like Kate said, one defender that has to stick on this guy's shoulder because he's so fast, he doesn't know he's useless. He could think it's his day to get a hat trick. Then that releases other players to do their thing. I bet you at home next week or next couple of weeks' time, Ayew will play. But does he need to play now? He needs to play behind whoever the striker was. Going back to Carranza, the problem is he's come from a league that isn't our league, and it's going to take time. And as Kate said, we haven't got time. He's had 2 good chances in 2 good games, and he's not taken it. I think the physicality thing, apart from his drop dead good looks, could be an issue. I think this bloke could get sent off every week the way he's playing.
Yeah.
Kate, before we move on, anything else you want to add to that? Next.
No, I just think in terms of the striker, whoever it is, we just need to, like Michael says, we're not going to score worldies every week. And that was my worry going into the game. Like, we're just not going to score worldies every week. And I just think when I would like to have seen Winks and JJ 5 yards further forward yesterday, because a lot of the game they were really deep. And the issue is that when we then get into an attacking position, you've got about 4 players involved in the attack, because Winks and JJ weren't pushing forward enough at that point. And obviously, JJ got a screamer, which was great. And when we did look front-footed, we looked really threatening. Obviously, he hit the post as well. And that's when they were just further forward and on the front foot. So we need to integrate Winks and JJ more in much more of the build-up play, to not rely on worldies or someone else's mistake necessarily. We need to attack more collectively, I would say, maybe.
I can build on that one. By and large, I thought we looked really solid, and maybe that was due to them sitting a little bit deeper. I think one of the big issues that's been rearing its ugly head for us this season is long balls over the top. I distinctly remember West Brom being a game where they just peppered us with long balls. And if you look at the penalty where they got their goal from on the weekend, that was a long ball over the top. They've noticed that Faes and Vestergaard can't get back very fast. And I think just that, this is, I personally play a Coley. I don't think he was bad in those opening games. I think he just offers a bit more agility and a bit more pace than someone like Wout Faes. But that ball over the top, that just sitting a little bit deeper, does make us a bit more secure. But as you say, then you lack on the front foot.
And that's when I think the frustration comes. And I think it's confidence, isn't it? Like I say, 2-1, 3-1 up, it was different gravy. I'd just like to see us have a little bit more appetite for risk. I do think we look really solid, and that's why we're not conceding too many. But I just think that can be really pedestrian then in build-up play and counter-attacking. We are the victims of our own downfall in terms of counter-attacking. We don't have it because the build-up play, we don't seize those opportunities, I don't think, enough. So that would be, I prefer a Coley as well, because Faes he's just a complete calamity waiting to happen.
We will absolutely talk about him this episode, because he was a key part of the game for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
To the bloke who just stuck up saying the bad game against Oxford, I think that was a bad game overall. We had a man sent off after 20 minutes. It's a unique circumstance for a lot of the players there. I think you can write that one off.
So this is an interesting one. I'll come to you first, Graham. I thought, other than that, look, I'm going to ask you all what you all thought if it was a penalty or not. But just quickly, I do want to say, though, I do think that was a complete classic bozo moment. Whether you think it was a penalty or not, I think he gave the referee a decision to make. He didn't win the ball. It's maybe a soft penalty, but there's a fair argument to at least question it. The thing is, for me, Okoli, I do see what you're saying, Michael. I do think that he has got a lot more pace than all the other centre-back options we have. Just the problem is he's been so honking on the ball that any build-up play through him is completely nullified. So then it's kind of horses for courses. Do you want pace and agility and aerial defence, or do you want someone that can play the ball out? There's an argument of pros and cons for both. Graham, I'll start for you. What do you think? I didn't think Faes was too bad yesterday other than that penalty shot. I thought he progressed the ball up the pitch decently. I thought he made some good diagonal passes. Do you think that was a penalty? What were your thoughts?
Well, again, I agree with you. I thought he put some great diagonal passes. You always know with him going, he can run into a space. He probably needs two. If you know what you get with Vestergaard and that, then Thomas and co have to do it. But my initial reaction when I saw it was, "Oh, well done! You've even got a goal kick out of that." But yes, he made the guy. Other defenders would have just walked the bloke run the bloke off the end of the pitch. But I don't know I don't know. Did he get the ball? Did he not get the ball? If he got the ball, then it's not a penalty. But I just think he went for the ball, missed the ball, clattered the bloke, and you give the referee a decision, like you say, decision to make. It's one of those ones where everybody goes really quiet because it might have been if we'd had VAR, we might have got away with that. But we don't have VAR, and everybody loves us not having VAR. So that's my opinion on that.
I watched it back a few times because my initial watching it in real time was that he didn't need to slide. The ball was going off of the pitch already. But after watching it back at multiple times, the striker or the forward was certainly going to get to the ball before him.
Right.
As you say, a Premier League centre-back puts himself between the forward and the ball and just says, try and come past me. Or at least just put some pressure, just a shoulder barge or anything before you decide to slide tackle in the box. I was watching last week, and I don't want to copy Kate, but you absolutely nailed it on the head. The lapses in concentration over 90 minutes are a real concern, doing just stupid, reckless challenges when it's unnecessary. I think that was an unnecessary challenge. I was obviously taught from a very young age, just don't do anything stupid in the box. And this guy seems to have made a bit of a career out of it. Very, very frustrating to watch because against a better side, it becomes a draw, or you end up going on to lose the match because the momentum shifts. So I think he needs to, we've been saying for many, many years, he just needs to stop making stupid mistakes. It should be as simple as that.
What do you think, Kate? You were there live. You were at the game. When you saw that in real time, were you just thinking, what a mare he's just had? Did you immediately think penalty, or do you think the crowd had a part to play? What were your thoughts?
I didn't know because it was the other end of the pitch. Like, we were behind the other goal, so it was almost impossible to see. So I think the main feeling in the away end was the referee's given the penalty. There's nothing you can do about that. And we know, and players should know, that the level of officiating generally, not just in the Championship, but generally, is probably an all-time low for me. I feel like it's detached from reality and clearly people who haven't played the game. So when he gave the penalty, all I could think was, why go to ground? Why haven't you stood him up? Why haven't you just shoulder barged him out for a goal kick or corner? And we've been looking reasonably better at corners and defending those. You just gave the referee a decision to make. And when you give a referee, any referee at the moment, I feel, a decision to make, they are likely going to make a honking decision. So now I've seen it back. I still feel exactly the same. Whether it is or isn't, I think, is a bit of a moot point, because he shouldn't have ever given the referee a decision to make, and he did. And I think that any other defender in our squad wouldn't have gone to ground there. I don't know why you're doing it. He was going out to the byline. Even if he'd reached the ball, the attacker, he would have had to have done something remarkable to create something decent from there that he probably would have just deflected out for a corner or goal kick anyway. So I just don't trust Faes that in those moments of sort of without thinking, his immediate knee-jerk reaction is to just be a disaster. He doesn't have this sensible innate ability. He has a car crash innate ability, and that's what I could see Vestergaard shouting at him after the game when they were walking over to Clappers. Vestergaard was at him.
But can I just make a point there that you're absolutely right, and he is a disaster. But do you think in the back, if Vestergaard started blowing in my ear about what I'd just done, I'd have gone on to him and said, well, what the fuck did you do last week? Yeah, should I have just stood off and got knocked over by a dwarf? You know, it's and again in the defenders union, it was a great effort, hit the post. But if we'd have scored the other end, we would not. Just before that, then we'd be cruising. So you know.
And also, if you really want to look at it, I don't think we're scoring 3 if Faes doesn't give away that penalty. So it just kind of all sort of became a bit of a domino effect. It could have just been a squeaky bum 1-0, I think, if Faes hadn't have done that. But yeah, he just in those positions, 1-on-1, and even at the at West Brom. Those moments are just there far too frequently because he is a sub. I think he's been brilliant, but as a 90-minuter,
he can't concentrate.
I just get worried.
Okay, well, you talk about a domino effect, Kate. Graham, what did you think once Fatawu scores that absolute classic peach goal from Fatawu that I love to see? Complete momentum shift. You could actually, for once, it felt like we were going for the jugular. It didn't feel like we were going to try and just hold out into a lead like we've seen previously in the last 4 or 5 draws that we've had. It actually felt like we're going to go for it. How did you feel? Like, this is good to see. We're going to play some attacking football. The boys all looked well up for it.
Yeah, I think I'm not going to discredit the marks given out by your fellow people yesterday, but I thought it was a good team performance. A couple of mistakes, otherwise we wouldn't have anything to talk about. But there's a belief now in the team. I felt sorry for your mate Donkey Cordova-Reid because the week before he played a blinder. This week he couldn't have found the bog. It was in a difficult position. But so I think that going forward, there's a belief and confidence. Once you've scored a second goal in football, and we haven't done much of that. All these draws that are going on, everybody's cancelling each other out. But we gave them something to think about. We gave them something to work on that. And by the way, I love the tash. Not yours, Kate. I love you.
I had a shave this morning.
It's just not a natural position for Cordova-Reid, is it? That's the problem. He is by trade a winger and has been his whole career, and he's sort of being pushed into there because we lack an option. He did struggle out there though yesterday, and maybe some time on a training ground, or I don't know if he's got matches over this international break, but maybe some time on the training ground in that position might really benefit us and him.
I thought he stank the place out, but I do agree with Graham. I thought last week against the Wrexham, I thought he played really well for his time being. I did think that he did struggle towards the end and needed to be subbed. I don't think he's fully 90 minutes fit yet. Be interesting to see. I want to see him interchange a lot more of Ramsey. Be interesting to see what happens going forward. Kate, I'll come to you. What do you think? Are you still Marti out? Just kidding. I know you're not Marti out. But what did you think of all the negativity? Like people were starting to turn on Marti just before that result. There were some questionable things I have seen in really not really much, to be honest with you. I think I'm being nitpicky. I think this guy's paid to be here. I really, really like his man management. I actually really enjoy how he speaks. I actually quite enjoy watching his press conferences. He's quite down to earth. He's level-headed. He calls it out as it is. He said the players needed to kick up the arse basically after the Wrexham game and that they were arrogant. He didn't go full Brendan Rodgers. He gave me some scary Brendan Rodgers flashback vibes. He wrote a few things in his notebook early, and we know Rodgers throws some of his players under the bus. But what do you think? Do you think it was with 7 games undefeated? We had 4 draws. There's other teams like Southampton and Ipswich that are kind of struggling at the start of the season as well, off to a slow start. Do you think it was totally unnecessary, this Marti hate that he was getting?
Yes. It was a bit incomprehensible for me, to be honest. The guy, regardless of whether or not he's paid to be here, that doesn't mean you get a free ride. But I think that Marti culturally is a really good fit for us. And that's something we've been missing for quite a long time now. And it really is quite costly if you're not singing from the same hymn sheet as some of the players. And Marti wants to strip everything back, wipe the slate clean with a load of players, and try and honestly rebuild. And when you're rebuilding something, it's normally because something else has been destroyed. And that's kind of what's happened to Leicester. So you have to strip it back. You have to have some frank conversations, and you have to make some unpopular decisions. And it's a slow burn, and that's what's going to happen. If you want it done properly, it probably is going to be done fairly slowly. But I really like what he's about. I love how he communicates. I love, like, in the week he called us arrogant. You know, I like that kind of manager that calls out players and says how he really feels in a press conference and in an interview, because it makes the fans understand his ways a bit better. So yeah, I really like Marti. I like what he's about, and I think he's slowly building a better behaved squad culturally, and off the pitch I think he's starting to build some momentum again and some team spirit and working together. So I quite like what I've seen so far, but Rome wasn't built in a day.
You have to remember he didn't get a full preseason. The club spent literally no money on any players and just wiped them out. He walked into a very fractured dressing room. I was on a lot of shows last year and a couple in the start of the season, and it was panic stations. Like, we were petrified of it, but we haven't clicked yet. We're sat third in the league, 3 points behind top, and we are nowhere near full tilt. So I think there's lots to be optimistic about for Leicester going forward, for sure.
What do you say, Graham? I know you're always I've watched a lot of your stuff. You're always positive on the board. You always try and, play, the positive devil's advocate to all the negative stuff. You always try and look at it in a better light. You have a lot of loyalty and respect, I know, to the King Power Group. What were your thoughts? Do you think it's just ridiculous? Do you think that, how do you, we all rated the season so far, and encompassing on a whole from King Power, whether it be transfers, Susan Whelan potentially been laid off. We've seen Top step into different roles. What are your thoughts right now overall on King Power? If I were to come to you and ask you that question, what would you say?
Okay. Well, I think Rags is a prat. Anybody that says that the board are a stain on the club wants to have a good look at themselves. But no, I think the general outlook is, we are where we are. This is a marathon this season. It's not a sprint. Anybody that expects, as some people do, all the youngsters in the team, all the everybody being under 25, all gung ho, everybody getting 9 out of 10s or whatever. We're a team. We're in progression. The disappointing thing would be if after this game, we go back to where we were before. I think decisions have been made in the board. I mean, as I say, I know Susan from working for her, and you wouldn't cross that woman unless you wanted a shillelagh wrapped round the back of your head. So, 62, load of misogynist grief from some fans of the games. Why bother? And it's. I honestly don't understand, after all the success we've had and the crap seasons, and maybe now we're going to have a good season, this level of angst against people that have done so much. We got Milan manager. I mean, it's a terrible shame he's died, but great innings, made a few bob out of us, brought in Top, brought in, some of the younger people, shall I say, as an old git, really want to be around us when we really did have shit owners, when we really did have people that were sucking money out of the club, when we didn't have anybody there was a guy called Alan Bennett who owned Bentley Engineering, and he offered to put £1 million into the club if all the other 4 directors matched him. And of course, they got 3 of them were undeclared bankrupts. So he went to Newcastle, and the rest is history. So everybody's entitled to their opinion. Everybody's entitled to a good moan. But I feel this season, if we carry on the way we're doing, we're going to have some fun. And, we can all talk about the politics of the owners or whatever, but we only really go to, or like I'm doing now, watching live on TV, to watch football and watch a team win and watch a team do the best it can. Not what's, whether John Rudkin's a bastard or not, or all the other things.
I understand what you're saying. I totally can appreciate as well that you've seen some much harder times, Graham. I think the only thing that I find frustrating is, and I think, Michael, you really touched on it pretty well earlier. You said that, there was a serious fractured dressing room. I said last night in the stream, I feel like this club was borderline needing open heart surgery with the 2 relegations, the absolute dross that we've seen. There's been some absolutely honking, abysmal decisions from Rudkin and this and that. We've all talked about it to death. I understand. I think the only thing I think fair to point out against the board is I don't agree with 100% with what Ragsy said. I don't think they're a stain. I just think that like the best way I can put this in a simpleton terms is imagine you saved your whole life and you bought a Lamborghini and you drove that far and you can never afford a Lamborghini again and you ran that Lamborghini into the ground. You drove it without putting oil in it. You fucked the engine up and that's it. You're never going to have that car again. I kind of scare about what upset me was the success we had. I understand a lot of the younger generation, you know, that's all that they've kind of known. They don't know the hard times like you've been through, but that kind of opportunity comes once in a lifetime. And the momentum that we built off winning that league, the players that we got, the money that we made, I feel like we've nearly pissed a lot of it all away. That's the only thing that disappointed me, to be honest with you. I felt like we could have carried that momentum on, and it's unfortunately might not ever come again, but at least we got to enjoy that experience. What would you say to that, Kate?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think with the board and any kind of setup like that in whatever industry, you just have to constantly review and evolve. And there does feel like a bit of a stagnation with it. And in football, you see it more, it's more magnified. Like Man City have had this issue. Liverpool are perhaps seeing this issue. Like if you stand still, you really do move backwards at a rate of knots. And I feel like that's what Leicester did. And I think they can perhaps invite some outside voices in to help them with things. But look, I'm with Graham on the whole. They've done some amazing things for us. And I was a bit sad to see not enough praise for Susan, really. Out of 15 years service, you know, the last 3 have been really tough. And that's kind of what's being left as a legacy. And I think that's quite unfair. She does sound like a tour de force to me. As a woman, it's great to see someone like that with such a business mind being welcome into a very much a man's world. And she's held her own for so long and led a team that were not entitled to win the Premier League. And I don't think enough is said about that. But look, I don't like looking back in the past. We are where we are. It's time to move forward. It's a new era with a new chief exec moving forward. And I just hope that we employ somebody with the right nous to do that in the game as it currently stands.
Brilliant. And do you think we're taking a step forward in the right direction then, Graham? You know, we've cleared out a lot of dead wood. We're making some changes at board level now as well. We're going to have some teething pains. I think, you know, we're going to have to take, you know, 2 steps forward and 1 backward, so to speak. Do you think moving forward from here?
I think that the best way to judge anybody is not by what they do wrong or the mistakes they make, is how they put them right. And I think this season has been a sea change. Instead of, you know, Tops came out and said, I want to play football like we played under Enzo. I really enjoyed it. So they got a manager in that does that as best they could, and nobody's ever going to be happy that we've still got Skip and we've still got Daka. We got rid of a load of players. We also then brought in a load of players at a net cost of, in capital, of 0, leaving us 30 million in the bank. So if we want to have a push later on, you know, panic buy season in January or next year, we have the resources to do it. I think the one thing that I will say that makes football different to any other business is you can, how can I put this? You can, normally as an owner or a runner of a business, you can determine things quite easily. You know, if somebody's not working for you, you can fire them. If somebody's doing a really good job, you can promote them. We have a bunch of self-entitled 21-year-old twats playing football for us. And when we won the Premier League, without doubt, every single one of them thought they were bloody Lionel Messi. They all thought they were Messi. They all thought they'd made it. They'd all thought they'd reached the top. Let's get rid of the manager and let's get Shaky in because he was the man that did it. So all along, the issues that you say, like the relegation season 1, was because we only came because every player thought they were too good to get relegated. Relegation series 2 is we came up with not enough good players to stay up. And now we've got rid of all the people that feel that they could run the club and that could dictate things, and we've got a group of players that can be moulded into what. Yeah. So as I say, as a business, it's not quite as straightforward as saying, you know, there are too many variables that you cannot control as a business.
Do you think it's essential?
Sorry, Michael. One big flaw in what you said, Graham, and I'll ask you this, Michael, is we should look. This is an old conversation, but we should have sacked Brendan Rodgers. that was 100% control. That's a big part of why we got relegated. That went on way too long. But we've had that conversation, I'm sure, a million times, all of us. Sorry, Michael, what were you going to say?
No, like that's. Do you believe it's essential that we get promoted this season? Because you don't.
No.
My sort of belief on that is that if we don't, then we'll have another influx of players, our better players, the Fatawus, the Winkses, the Mongers, maybe some more of our academy players get sold. And then that step up to the Premier League just feels that little bit harder. I guess your argument is if we go up to the Premier League, this club isn't good enough to be there right now, and we'll just go straight back down again. So the cycle continues.
I would go with this one is that ideally, go straight back up. And I'm sure it's like one of those things that nobody's talking about. But if we have a really good season and fail to go up, say we lose in the playoffs or we, whatever it is, then we have money to buy other players. And players will look at Leicester and go, well, actually, they didn't make it this season, but they will make it next season. Can anybody say for 1 minute they really enjoyed the 2 seasons we got relegated? You can see the difference in golf. And I get your point very much so that, would we be able to hang on to players? Will we be good enough? I'd really like to think that we can win the league, because if we carry on the way we're going, Coventry can't be scoring for fun all season, inshallah. So let's try and work a way of getting up this time and then attract players. But it's too early. It's too early to say. But I do honestly, my heartfelt belief is there is a plan A and there's a plan B.
Well, Coventry would be a good case study, wouldn't they? Because they've been flirting with promotion now for a few years, haven't quite got over the line. This season, sold absolutely no one, kept a very settled squad, and, 15 goals in 3 matches or something along those lines. But this isn't a Coventry City fan channel, so let's move on.
Coventry City can give the knee. They're staying in the Championship for another 10 years. Fuck them. Kate, I'll come to you. We've got a nice, lovely international break coming up. Some more time for Marti, as Michael pointed out earlier, to play catch-up because he came in so late and got so many players in late. He's got more time to integrate his style. He's now got Ramsey available. What are your thoughts going in? These are the next upcoming games. Who have you got and how are you feeling on this run of games coming up after the international break? Let's go over, let's say, the first 4. How are you feeling?
Yeah, there's some very winnable games there. I think you've got to be looking to get upwards of 8 points from those next 4 games, to be honest. Middlesbrough away, Millwall away is going to be difficult. They came off the back of a great win yesterday, didn't they? I'd be looking.
Pumped by Coventry before that, though.
Yeah, they did. So it makes you realise how good our 0-0 was against Coventry, actually. To not concede against a team that's absolutely flying is brilliant, really. But yeah, upwards of 8 or 9 points, I'd say, from those next 4 games. But yeah, I like it in the sense that, you've got 2 more weeks to bed in his ideas, etc. But some of these guys will be away from the camp on international duty. And my only concern, and it's not to bring the doom on it, but I just don't want any injuries. We're just starting to get ticking with that potentially our starting at least 8 or 9 players. I think Marti is sure of, and there's just a couple left to kind of put his masterpiece together really and get things ticking. And I just don't like these 2 really quickly successive international breaks. They're just really disruptive potentially. But look, it gives people like Ricky P a bit of a chance to recover, because I thought Ricky's looked off it again yesterday. And I think he just needs a bit more longer recovery time. So if we can nurse him back to fitness each time and the recovery is a bit bigger, then it could play into our hands a little bit, really. But yeah, there's some really winnable games coming up there, and we need to start firing on the goals for sure, particularly at home.
12 from 12, baby. We're going 12 for 12 over those next 4.
I'm going with you.
We've gotten rid of some tough fixtures. Like West Brom is not an easy match this season. They've looked really good. Coventry have obviously looked very good. The Oxford game, we should have won that. It's a dodgy ground on 3 stands. And Wrexham, that was just we're the makers of our own downfall. But we've broken that sort of the sequence. Let's say we've got a break, providing we get no new injuries over the international break and resting some players. I think we'll go for 12 for 12. I think they are all very winnable games.
So how many points you get? You going 12 from 12? Kate, what are you going for?
I'm going to go 9.
I'm going to go 10. Is that even possible? Yes. Well, No, I don't know. Graham,
Yeah.
how many points are you going? I just forgot maths live, everyone. I just glitched. Graham, how many points are you got for the next 4 games?
Yeah, you can have 10, win 3, draw
You could
1.
have to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Well, somebody who's disappointed he got it exactly right, 5 points from the last. I'm going for 8. Preferably 2 home wins, because I will be at those home games for the first time this season. Millwall, yeah, just sends shivers up my spine. It's like a set from again, you're too young, the set of the Sweeney. It's that part of London you're lucky to come away with your teeth in your head. And Norwich, I mean, I think one of the things we have to remember is that we are every team's FA Cup final. They're not going to win. They're not going to win. They aren't going to win, but they aren't going to play the former champions of England. They're not going to play a Premier League winning team at all, some of them. Maybe ever, if the league carries on the way it is. So I think we just have to remember that everybody else is going to be up for it. But now we've got some goals. And one other little point on that one is that, and this is not going to make people happy, but we're going to have to do a lot of rotation. In the bad old days of black and white TV, we used to have a reserve league. We don't have a reserve league. The only chance of getting players to keep match fit is to play them. We've got, obviously we can bring 5 subs on now, so that makes sense. But yeah, don't expect to play the same 11 each week, because he's got to at least swap out 1 or 2 every game just to keep people match fit.
Yeah, particularly Pereira, because we saw with Maresca how important he can be to a team when he is fit. Unfortunately, he is made of glass, and he's a delicate old boy. But yeah, he's vital to the way we play. So, we saw it against Wrexham, right? You stuck Chowdhury in there. Ideally, you don't have to do that, but yeah.
Yeah, it pains me to admit this, is super integrally is into our best starting 11. I have to admit, this is the first year where I thought, he's slowed down a bit, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's a combination of injury record, fitness, or just unfortunately age, or a bit of all of column A, B, and C.
All of them.
All of them, unfortunately. But hey, he's still a genius. He's still very intelligent on the ball. His positioning's great. He's definitely slowed down a bit, but I think he can make up for that with his technical quality and leadership on the pitch. He's actually been a great captain. It's good to see him. Get the boys in line whenever there's a dodgy decision of the ref. He's straight in there. I think he's a great captain. Before we wrap this up, Kate, I agree with everything you guys just said about the rotation. I do think that Marti has excellent man management skill. He doesn't, when people have a honking game, he tends to give them a second chance so they don't fully lose their confidence. One biggest gripe, as much as, and I'm going to ask Graham about this in a second, about Mr. Enzo Maresca, my love child, who I'm not gay, but I'd kiss him. One gripe I had of Enzo Maresca is he very rarely used subs, and if he did, it was at the 80-90 minute mark. He didn't utilize his squad as much as I would have liked, and I think it was actually stronger when he was in charge. What are your thoughts on that, the rotation under Marti? I do think he's still trying to figure out his best 11, but are you happy with his man management?
Yeah, I think Marti's man management is one of his better qualities that I've seen so far, except for the Wrexham game where his subs were dross, to be honest. Every sub he's got was spot on, and I think he spots the moments in the game when fresh legs are needed, and it's not the usual, it's got to be 60 minutes, or like Enzo, it's got to be 80 minutes. Like he doesn't feel so regimented, and it's not a hill he dies on in that side of his game. So I really like that about Marti. So yeah, I think he can mix it up. I think he can change formation in middle of the game as well. So it's just a case of managing things. He's got some management of injuries like Ricardo, and then he's also got management of people and the man management side of things, particularly with Steffi. Steffi's going to be one of his more challenging ones. Like, I hope, he obviously had a calf injury yesterday, and I hope that is a calf injury and not a bruised ego, because he has had a tough last few games. And with Monga sitting there, I don't want him to think that it's the writing's on the wall and Monga's a shoo-in, because I thought Monga was particularly poor yesterday, particularly out of possession. I thought he offered nothing to help Thomas out, and he got doubled up on quite a lot. So Steffi isn't out of the race yet, and I don't want him to feel like that. So it's managing that side of things, which I think he's doing really well. So, it is a rotation situation in the Championship, 8 more games to play. Arguably a lower quality squad, and I'd like to see the youth come through a bit more. Obviously Silko Thomas came on yesterday as well, which was great. So I think those people that are kind of holding him about him including the youth and not doing it as much as they'd hoped. I think you might see that over the course of the season, but he's got to find his way with them, and you don't just drop them in because they're kids. You drop them in because they're good enough. And you know, although Ayew might arguably not perform that well, his experience and general seasoned pro nature of his game is worth a lot compared to a youngster that will offer the same in talent. So it's a long season. We've got, you know, we're not even a quarter of the way through it yet. So it's a long old season. And I think Marti, he's measured and he's got a lot of humility, which I really like. And he keeps talking to us, which is great, really.
That's excellent. Anything you want to add to that, Michael, before I ask Graham a hilarious question?
I won't waste too much time then. I'd like to get to the hilarious question. As has been said, the rotation is huge for us, but I would like to see a stable back four. I think he is fairly settled on Faes and Vestergaard, and I just think that's so important to keeping clean sheets for us is that back four remaining the same. And I just would like to see Page get some more time as well. If you're good enough, you're old enough. And I thought in the Birmingham game in particular, I thought he looked really lively, and I haven't really seen him on much since. So let's get on to something a bit funnier.
I agree. I'd like to see if you're good enough, you're old enough. And the only person I would like to also add into that mix is Aluko. I thought he looked really good in the preseason. He looked very good. I would like to see him get some minutes, but obviously Marti knows better than we do. He's there training them every single day. Graham, I've got a message here from the gaffer, Mr. Locks. Is it true that you called Enzo Maresca a Italian pizza queen of tiki-taka football, deluded bald moron?
He's obviously on the funny drugs, isn't he, on holiday? You can shorten that down to one thing. He's a snake. Yeah, we gave him the opportunity. We gave him all this. We put him in a position where he can look really good. And the first sign of Chelsea's money, he fucked off. So that's I think going back to the less serious point, I thought, you know, Monga gets a free pass yesterday from that miss. If it had been your mate Daka up top, who was in the middle of the goal with both sides to shoot, and he played it straight at the keeper. So yeah, we have to remember he's a young man. Yeah, and also Locks, while you're listening from the bottom of the pool, I'll tell you what, have they managed to refill the pool after he jumped in yesterday? How was it? Is that I want to talk about our keeper. You know, the one that makes him really nervous, the one that pulled off the stunning reaction save. You know, as part of the union, I couldn't play football as a goalkeeper anymore because I've got one foot and I stand on that one, and the other one just kind of waggles around a bit. The requirement for goalkeepers to be a right back or a left back is really hard. Is a tough one. But what you want a goalkeeper that somebody shoots the ball at the goal, going where nobody expects it, at speed nobody expects it, and you save it. I'll take that.
Yeah, I fail to get excited by goalkeepers, but I would say if he's not the best goalkeeper in the league, he's certainly got the highest ceiling of all of them, and I'm glad to have him in there.
Ditto.
Me too. All right, guys. Well, thank you all for joining today. That was really fun. I enjoyed that. Appreciate your time. And yeah, I think he made a great save, Graham. I just wish that he was a little bit more confident sometimes in the ball and stopped hoofing along Kasper Schmeichel style. I definitely think that he was unfairly compared to who is now not even making the starting 11 now. Hermansen. He's absolutely Hermansen, mate. That's sad. He's very, very good on the ball, particularly in the championship season. So I think that his ceiling was so much higher distribution-wise compared to Jakub Stolacek. But there's pros of Jakub that Mads does not have. He commands his area a lot better. He's a brilliant shot stopper. I think he's been a bit, unfortunately disappointing the last, 3 or 4 games before this game, to be honest with you. Although I was more than happy of him to be number one. I think he deserved it. I do think he has a high ceiling also, Michael. I just... I just expect a little bit more from him, but it's a long season. I think he's got a lot more time to grow into his position. Schmeichel is Graham's favourite goalkeeper ever. Thank you, Mr. Locks. I love Schmeichel. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining. Enjoy the rest of your weekend or what's left of it, and thank you for everyone in the comments. I don't know when we'll be back. You'll have to consult the gaffer, but hopefully he'll be back soon from his holiday. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Well done.
Big shout out to our new sponsor, The Beautiful Frame. They have absolutely smashed it with this Jamie Vardy piece. They're a local Leicester business as well, which makes it even better. And not just Leicester, they do prints for other clubs too. Honestly, perfect if you're stuck for a birthday or Christmas present. The best bit, they've sorted Blue Tinted Glasses followers with a discount. Just use the code BTG12 at checkout for money off. Grab yours now at thebeautifulframe.com. The link is in the description of the video.